Robins are some of the earliest birds to nest in spring, often getting started even as the leaves are just emerging on the trees. Because of this lack of leaf cover, they choose the sheltered branches of coniferous trees and shrubs for their nest locations. This is one of the best opportunities to actually find robin nests, is to look for robins flying into these sheltered coniferous branches. These first nests that the robins make also coincide with the breeding time of many owls. Owls often make their nests in the cavities of trees and have overlapping habitats with robins. And it creates this situation where if there's an owl nesting close to a robin, you end up with owls hanging around all day long in the same area where robins are trying to start their family. When this happens, the robins get into this behavior pattern where they make these loud, constant, nervous alarm calls that sometimes seem to go on all day long. And it's a very common sign that alerts me to the presence of owls during the robin nesting season. The robin will perch in a position where they can see the owl and flip their tail and make these peek and tut calls. Here we even get a nice example of a robin whinnying like a horse. And as the robins move through their nesting cycle, gathering materials, building the nest, and coming out to feed, they will continue alarming through that whole routine whenever the owl is around. And it's super interesting to observe because the owl is kind of like a medium-level threat for the robin. They're not really in much danger of their nest being disrupted by this owl or even being hunted by the owls under most circumstances, but it is the sort of thing that they need to be aware of because if they let their guard down, the owl, being a predator, certainly could take advantage of that situation. What's happening here is the female is currently sitting on the nest with her eggs, and this is actually a male robin hanging nearby, and it's his job to keep watch, and he's the one making most of the alarm calls. The only time the robins really stop making alarm calls is when they go into the nest, and I just love how this robin has such a distinct route to actually enter the nest, and every time they entered this nest, they did it exactly the same way, moving in on the very same branch, very cautiously and quietly. So when you hear these moments of quiet within all the alarm activity, it's actually another way to help you locate the nest because you can hear when they're moving in and out of the nest by the stopping and starting of the alarm calls. We even had a little Junco come in to make a few alarm calls and see what was going on. And through this whole time, the owl just sits there roosting away, doesn't really seem too disturbed by the whole situation. These alarm calls are being made in the general area of the owl rather than directly mobbing and dive bombing as they do at other times of year when I've seen robins be more directly aggressive towards owls. In this case, they're really more concerned about their nest because it just happens to be very close to where the owl is roosting. This owl was roosting maybe about 20 or 30 feet away from the robin's nest location, so it's really close to where the robins are nesting, and the owl's nest was only about 30 or 40 feet away too, so it really is quite close quarters. That owl almost certainly knew exactly where their nest was, and they just want to tell the owl that, hey, we see you, we're aware of you, don't try anything. And also to communicate between the male and female so they always know where the owl is and its comings and goings from the nest area. If the owl were to leave to go hunting for a little while, the robins would stop and you would hear quiet for a period of time. So I just think it's so amazing what one of the most common backyard birds can tell us if we just open up our ears and listen a little bit and observe their patterns. The robins will show us really amazing things. They'll show us where their nests are, they'll show us where the owls are, and it always just gets me so excited to go back out and see what happens next in the great outdoors. Have you ever seen robins doing this? Keep your eyes peeled out there and you just might see it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.